When people think of the Renaissance, most people think of it as the time of rebirth of art, architecture, and literature. The Renaissance started in the 1300s and ended in the 17th century. During the Middle Ages, people believed everything was based on the absolute power of God. But towards the beginning of the 14th century, people started to break away from this idea. The Renaissance movement did not necessarily reject the idea of God, but rather question humankind's relationship with God. The Renaissance sparked the idea of humanism, which is the idea that we control what is going to happen to us and not the gods. Because of this, the Renaissance changed art, architecture, and literature. And art changed when artists started to focus on the beauty in humans and the body instead of drawing godlike beings. One thing that artists did to change this was to start showing emotions and perspective in their pictures. They also put lighting and shadows in their painting to give them depth. Artists also started to give their characters more realistic poses instead of mythical and godlike poses to show more of being human. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo Buonarroti were major names that changed art. Leonardo had his own art studio where he created over 1,500 works. One he is famously known for is the Mona Lisa, where he captured her smile in paint. Even though he was known for his talent in art, he was also a scientist and an inventor. He drew and developed a model of a pair of wings in hopes of human flying one day. Michelangelo is famous for being able to add so much detail. One of his fine works is in the Sistine Chapel, where he painted the ceiling with different scenes. Also during the Renaissance, architects began to look back to the Roman and Greeks for inspiration when designing buildings. People built more and more buildings as it was described that buildings hugged the earth. These buildings had columns and arches that were taken from both the Greeks and the Romans. The domes were circular or square, and the front of the buildings was usually symmetrical. Filippo Brunelleschi was a major person that helped change architecture. He was considered the first Renaissance architect. He won the commission to build the dome above the Cathedral of Florence. It took a lot of Brunelleschi's lifetime to complete. Brunelleschi also built two different churches in Florence. After these churches were built, many more churches throughout Europe would use the same design for many years. Literature was changed from being less focused on religion to being realistic and focused on creating human-like characters with emotions and thoughts. People created human-like characters that had characteristics like normal people. One person who was a major influence on the change of literature was William Shakespeare. Starting to write plays by the end of the Renaissance, Shakespeare was known for his plays such as Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet. Shakespeare used his knowledge of the Greek and Roman classics when he wrote his plays. He updated simple Renaissance drama during his works and focused on creating human characters with human-like characteristics. Shakespeare wrote plays in a way so that people could see the humanity in characters no matter what the character's role was. An almighty king can still make a mistake just like you or me.